Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Hope everyone's doing well today. Shout out to all the subscribers and big up to anyone new locked in. Welcome along. Gratitude to you. Let's talk about Xander Zayas, right? He is fighting Patrick Teixeira. Hopefully I got that right. Brazilian guy. Step up fight for Zayas for sure. Very good matchmaking, I think. I think he's been looking for a step up, and this is he's a wily old veteran, Patrick Teixeira. He's had a few losses. He's only been stopped once by Curtis Stevens, actually.
Teixeira's jab is painfully slow. Jim, he never faced nobody with this type of explosiveness
like that sometime. This is boxing. It was all good, When they called me for the fight, I watched them. I was like, okay, no problem.
This is way back. This was back in the HBO days. I can't remember the exact date of the year. I'll put it up on the screen. But, he also, I guess his claim to fame, Teixeira, is he beat Carlos Adames and actually nearly knocked him out. Fight that he was moving around a lot and Adames was being the aggressor. And, Teixeira can punch. So the minute he squared up to him, maybe not the minute, but at one point where he traded and actually set his feet on the ground, when you are a puncher, and he's got wiry arms, he's got this kind of loosey-goosey, herky-jerky style a little bit, right? But he was moving so much that, your power gets diminished. But when you square up and you sit down on your punches and he squared up and he caught him with the right hand, I think that started the problem.
Catches Adames with the right hook.
He's got some power in there because he's got some leverage. So, and I think, he can lull fighters into a false sense of security, which I think he did with Adames. But look, I like this fight. I really do. It presents a few problems for Xander Zayas. Look, I thought he was a bit older. He's only 21. I mean, he is absolutely a future star. He's a really beautiful boxer. He's got a really lovely style. I've talked about his style before in another video. He's got a really, really well-rounded punch selection. Great body puncher. Good jab. He's patient. I think that's going to be quite an important factor to on Saturday. I nearly said tonight. Saturday is your patience. He's headlining now, right? So that's a lot more pressure. 21 years old, headlining at the Garden. I know it's the theatre, but he's still headlining. And actually, Bruce Shushu Carrington's on the undercard. I'll do a separate video on him because I've still got a piece of art coming about him. But he's the co-main event. So there's pressure. And Xander Zayas doesn't like letting people down. I remember that time where he couldn't fight. I think he was in Australia and the fight got cancelled and he started crying. And a lot of people, kind of jumped on him for that and said, you shouldn't be crying, you're a fighter, all this stuff. But, I think it just shows how much he cares. The guy really cares. He loves his fans, he loves his country, and he loves boxing. And, I think he's going to probably really be in a position where it'll be really good for him, to get this learning experience, to be a headliner, to have the pressure against a veteran, a wily veteran who can punch. It's a very good test. Not just punch, but he can fandangle his way through a fight, if that word makes sense. Or just like fiddle, like these loosey-goosey, herky-jerky types are crafty. And when you've been boxing as long as Teixeira has had a lot of fights too, he knows his way around the ring, so it'll be an interesting fight, and it'll be, like I said, a really good test for Xander Zayas. Willie, I don't see him losing. It's just, how is he going to win? Is it going to be one of those awkward wins, or is it going to be a clear-cut, borderline dominating performance, or is he going to get the stoppage? I'd be very impressed if he was able to stop Teixeira. If actually the way Teixeira, I went back and watched the fight he had with Kurbanov, right? He was actually the former, or he's the Israel Madrimov, who's fighting Bud Crawford, just beat Kurbanov, right, for the, is it the IBF belt? Maybe. I don't know. It's for a world title. They fought for a world title. Kurbanov is no joke. He's not, elite level by any means, but he's a decent operator. Russian, tough, comes in shape, can box, looks well schooled, amateur background, all that stuff. Madrimov beat him, but Kurbanov beat Teixeira recently. And I was watching that fight, and actually he put Teixeira over with an overhand right. which is the same punch that Curtis Stevens caught him with. And then a round or two later, Kurbanov was just tagging him with these overhand rights. So I'm wondering if there's something there for that. He looks a little wide open anyway, you know, Teixeira, because he does have this loose style, and he doesn't really stick to a fundamental boxing stance, which is why he has that herky-jerky rhythm. And, you know, he relies on his reflexes and his distance control and all that stuff. But, you know, I don't know if there was something with that overhand right. I've not seen Xander throw too many of those, to be fair.
He saw Fryer step in to try to attack. He clipped him right on the temple.
Black and silver trunks gets knocked down right in front of us.
He's going to be looking for that right hand again.
And he goes down again. Straight right hand for Zayas. Overhand right, and that puts Winfield down on one knee.
See, Xander Zayas stalking right there. You saw that lazy jab come over.
But, you know, I think a lot of shots are open for Teixeira, but I'd like to see Xander get behind his jab, do what he normally does. You know, he can box coming forward, he can put the pressure on, hopefully, like, he is able to learn. But I haven't seen him where he's been pressured too much. I know there's been a few fights where he's had to box on the back foot, but maybe Teixeira will come out. This is the thing, you never know sometimes with wily old veterans. They might just spring up some weird tactics on you. But I'm expecting to have Xander in full control. Maybe not full control, but control. Box from the middle of the ring, push Teixeira back, depending on what Teixeira is looking to do. You know, at this stage of his career, how much motivation has he got? It's a big opportunity for him to get back in the mix, really, to be honest with you, for more bigger paydays. I mean, to have a scalp like Xander Zayas right now at his, you know, on his record would reignite him into this ever-flourishing 154-pound division. So he might be highly motivated, which is more danger and more pressure for Xander Zayas. But I'm expecting Zayas to win. I think he'll probably win on points, maybe a late stoppage. But I also wouldn't be totally shocked if he was able to get him out of there in a virtuoso performance. But I would lean towards a stoppage. And actually, to be honest with you, I think getting in that many rounds, like with a wily veteran, and, you know, being hopefully somewhat in control. Look, the Teixeira can punch. So the questions have to be asked about a prospect contender every single time, the intangibles about this and about this, right? We don't really know about Xander's chin. We don't really know about his heart, because this is a common thing for fighters that are stepping up because they haven't been tested, because they've been putting in with guys they should be beating, which is fine. That's how you build up the confidence. That's how you get a better fighter. But then there comes a point where that moment happens when you do get clipped, and it's what are you going to do about it now? Excuse me, I've had I had a cold for about 2 weeks. It's driving me nuts. You know, one of them coughs where you have and then it kind of goes away and then it comes back. So I'm just getting rid of it now, but apologies. Anyway, yeah, so will it be one of those? Will Teixeira have a little sneaky power in his back pocket to actually land on Xander? You know, if Xander's not quite relaxed enough, maybe the occasion's getting to him. He's only 21, remember. I don't think Xander will be flustered too much, but you never know. Like I said, he's fighting a wily old veteran that can punch, that knows his way around the ring, and he's very savvy in there. So, you know, it's going to sound a bit messed up, but in an ideal world, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if Xander did come through a bit of drama, to be honest. I'm not saying that I want that to happen. I just think that it wouldn't be so bad if he did get hurt with something. You know, let's see how he can come back, because I'm pretty sure he's got. I don't know how good his chin is. I'm pretty sure he's got a major heart in there. You know, I'd be very surprised if he didn't. And I know the kid can fight, but will he be tested Saturday? You know, how will he come through those tests if he does? You know, I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest with you. I'm buzzing for this fight because he's headlining it, you know. Puerto Rican Day Parade this Saturday, the whole weekend actually. So that'll be, you know, a nice extra buzz, but maybe put more pressure, you know. That's a lot to live up to. I remember when I first moved to New York, 2009, Cotto was just like a major. I mean, it's been before that, before Cotto, but that was just my first experience on it, you know. Added pressure, you know, the fans, very passionate boxing fans, Puerto Rican fans are. Shout out to you, massively passionate, unbelievably. And, you know, they'll be rooting for their guy, obviously, but there's that expectation, maybe, you know. There's definitely, I can only speak for New York, there's definitely a longing and a void for that Puerto Rican superstar boxer since Cotto went, you know, because there have been a few talked about that were, you know, kind of almost, and then they didn't quite. Maybe who was that fight? Felix Verdejo, was it? I don't know. He had some really a major dark turn in his life, but there were a couple of others that they tried to promote on HBO. I forget some of them, but, you know, no one really ever stepped up to the plate. Thomas Delorme might have even been one of them, if I'm honest. They were definitely pushing him hard on HBO, but they never quite lived up to, you know, that status, which is a tough label to give anybody, really. You know what I mean? But I think you know, obviously we got Matias over there. When I say we, I'm speaking like I'm from the island. I just mean it like I've got such affinity for that country. It stems back a long way. You know, there have been so many blessings in my life. This apartment that have come from, you know, Puerto Ricans, really. So that's really why I say that, because it's like, it's the blessings in my life, really. I couldn't even begin to tell you how grateful I am. So that's why I say it like that. That's why I cover the fighters as hard as I do. And when I came into New York, you know, I was just attracted to it straight away. You know, even long before that, really. I've been a musician and a DJ and an artist, and I've been like world music has been a part of my life for a very long time. You know, even growing up in the UK, I was always listening to like obscure Latin music, you know, back when I was probably like late teens, really. I was massively into like hip hop and UK garage music, house music, all that, but there was always an affinity for like Latin music. Like there was a DJ called Giles Peterson, actually, and he used to do this Cuba series, I guess, right? And that was that. I don't know when that was, but that was probably a bit later on. But when I found that out, I was like, wow, digging, and just the beats and the Afro drums, all of it. It's amazing. And I make all the music for this channel too. I'll put a beat on at the end, and a lot of it is influenced with Latin. Like, not all the music I make, but the ones I make, I understand the tempo, and I try to gauge it and get that rhythm and get that soul feeling from the drums. And, you know, when I say soul, I really meant spiritual feeling, you know, because there's a spiritual essence in Latin music for sure, especially like the more Cuban stuff, you know, when you have the African drums and stuff. Well, it's not just Cuban, but, you know, a lot of those parts, they have just African influence, and, you know, it's really close to my heart, which is why I make the music for it. You know, it comes naturally. And I don't know, we're not talking about boxing anymore. I went off on a bit of a tangent. Yeah, well, look, that's part of the channel, really. You know, like music, culture, boxing, heart, peace, love, determination, will to win, be the best version of you. You know, like, I love it. And that's why, you know, I have such an affinity for Subriel Matias, to be honest with you. And because he's just like an amazing human being, wants to get the absolute best out of himself, and he's an absolute animal, and he just is a beast in the ring and out the ring, like training, preparation. Like, you know, I'm working on this film study now. I've been talking about it. It is a massive project. I'm like, it's actually a bit too big, to be honest. Like, the amount of editing, because I'm trying to get loads of other stuff out as well, but the amount of editing that I've had to do, I've maybe bit off a bit too much so I can chew. But listen, I'm really excited about it. I really am. Hopefully that YouTube don't block the video, because I know they're, you know, I'm trying to find ways around it, you know. Anyway, back to the fight. Let's I'm gonna say Xander Zayas is gonna get a points win. I think he's gonna look pretty good. I think he's gonna have to be patient, use his jab, use his intelligence, and not get too over enamored by the occasion, you know, and put on a good show. And if he does get hurt at some point, I'm not saying he will, but if he does, and it'll be great to see how he comes through it, really, because you're going to have to do it at some point. You know, that getting hurt in a bigger fight or a big fight is going to happen. And it's just like, we want to know now so he can learn from it. But at the same time, I would, you know, I'm not saying I would want him to get hurt. I'm just saying it might happen. So we'll see. Let me know your thoughts on the fight, guys. And yeah, as always, I always appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for anyone that's made it this far and enjoyed the video. Peace and love to you. Thank you so much. Gratitude. I'm out.
Puerto Rico, and boy, did he make them happy and give them something to celebrate, Tim.
That's how you finish a guy.
Boxing.
On the edge.